and it's about our favorite quarterback debate, Brock Purdy. So Kyle Juszczyk, the legendary tough guy fullback from the Niners, was asked about what it's going to take to give Brock Purdy respect. Colin, you're going to love this answer. Here we go.
I don't know what it is, what it's going to take for this guy to finally get like the respect that I think he truly deserves. Because I mean, season in, season out, he plays tremendously. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just that the fact that he's not a first round draft pick, like if that is just going to be the story for his entire career and be kind of held against him, maybe. But I love the guy, you know, as a person, as my quarterback, as a football player, like he is the dude.
Well, I think actually Brock Purdy is appropriately respected. We don't think he's Josh Allen or Justin Herbert in terms of turbo and power. We don't think he's a great athlete, but he's better than Mac Jones. I think Brock Purdy he's had some injuries. He can get a little sloppy. I think he's appropriately respected. I think everybody, myself included, I think he's a nice B-plus quarterback. I think he deserves a ton of credit. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's grateful and humble. I think he's more athletic. I think I didn't give him the credit he deserves for athleticism. I watched him play in college a lot. Yeah. And my take on him in college was bit of a gunslinger, kind of reckless, a little small, but you put him within that system. So I think he's appropriately respected. I think let's say you ask, forget fans for this moment. Let's just say you ask GMs, where do you put him in the league? And I think most GMs would say, well, he got the perfect coach. Shanahan is great with quarterbacks. He's probably somewhere in that 12 to 16 space in terms of size, health, athleticism, jet fuel, power. You know, he doesn't have first round traits. But he's kind of a streaky guy when he gets hot. The one thing I like about him is that you can tell a lot about a quarterback by how a coach coaches him. When Shanahan had Garoppolo, who was fine, they didn't throw the ball down the field a ton. They didn't throw it up the sideline a ton. That told you they didn't think Jimmy had a great arm. But they threw it over the middle of the field. He was accurate. With Brock Purdy, when I watch him, Shanahan lets him go. He lets him let it rip. So that tells me that Shanahan thinks he's more talented than probably I do.
And that's why I don't care about the GMs in that regard. I care about what the offensive coaches think about him. And Shanahan loves Brock Purdy. Shanahan is a brilliant offensive coach in the NFL and one of the best coaches in the NFL. Therefore, Shanahan's opinion of Brock Purdy matters a lot more to me than whether or not where he was drafted or whatnot. And so, no, I do not think Brock Purdy is appropriately respected because people were literally trying to say, oh, maybe Mac Jones should take over. They said, oh, Brock Purdy shouldn't get paid in all of this. And so, you know, the whole thing about respect, again, Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl and broke Super Bowl records. He's gone to multiple Super Bowls. He's not getting the respect. Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold is not going to have this avalanche of respect moving forward. I promise you. He has this coming season. If it's a little inconsistent or they get knocked out in the divisional round and Sam Darnold isn't perfect, they'll be like, is it time for them to move on from Sam? You know, this is the limitation that you have. Last year, it was so perfect because the defense was so great. Cliff Kingsbury, now that Kingsbury isn't there and now that the defense took a step back, is Sam Darnold really the guy that's going to be able to take you to the next level? Probably not, you know. And this is like and on and on and on and on we go. And that's what it comes down to. And Brock Purdy suffers from the whole great coach, stacked roster. And he suffers extra because he also didn't win the Super Bowl that year. You know. And so, it's just like and now they haven't obviously been back. But I mean, like we talk about like, oh, he's a BB+ quarterback. Like that's what Colin said. And you know, he in that system and this and that. And it's like, yeah, in that system, great roster, but no one feels no one says confidently Brock Purdy is an elite pre-snap and post-snap processor. People don't emphasize that. Colin jumps to well, his athleticism and little bit of a slinger, and we talk about Kyler Murray or going to Minnesota, well, he's got elite athleticism. He's got elite athleticism. People have no problems emphasizing that. No problems emphasizing that. Oh, Justin Herbert's got a big arm. No problems emphasizing that. No problems emphasizing that at all. But for whatever reason, we never want to talk about Brock Purdy's elite processing. Pre and post snap. Greg Cosell has talked about it a lot. I make sure to emphasize and to post those clips cause he talks about it. But it's just like in any of the casual conversation that we have around a Brock Purdy, we just don't mention it. And again, Greg Cosell just had a, clip that I turned into cause it was about I forget which quarterback it was about now. I think Mendoza. Where, Greg Cosell is like, we've grow. We've turned into, football has turned into where we no longer can celebrate a quarterback who can execute an offense at the highest level. And it's like that's what Brock Purdy does. This is Greg Cosell on the Herd last week. I think just to make a final point, I think we do have to get away at times from thinking that every quarterback we evaluate has to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes cause it's not going to be like that. Okay, so Fernando Mendoza came to his pro day and I don't even care about pro days. It's one of the few pro days I went, wow. He put on like 12 to 15 pounds. He looked bigger in a t-shirt. He is big and he looked bigger in a t-shirt. Yeah. I mean, I think being highly efficient playing the position, being an outstanding ball distributor, and an executor of a well-schemed offense is a good thing, Colin. And we've lost the ability to celebrate that because more and more quarterbacks are great athletes than ever before. In every sport, guys are better athletes. So, we've lost the ability to celebrate guys who play the position like a Mendoza, theoretically like a Simpson. And I'm not here advocating and saying, wow, these guys are going to be Hall of Famers. That's not the point. They haven't played it all in the league. So, we don't know. And so much is situation-based. There's very few transcendent players. So much is dependent upon team, scheme, coaching. And you talk about coaching all the time. So, I know you agree with me. Boo. T. Mendoza, and by the way, that size is a trait. So, again, being able to execute at the highest level. Exactly how Shanahan wants his offense run. That is what Brock Purdy does. Those are his superpowers. Pre, post, and running the offense exactly how Shanahan wants. That is so important. That is elite. That is what separates him from let's not talk about the Josh Allens and those quarterbacks, but a Brock Purdy can get lumped into the Baker Mayfields and, that category. And it's like, no, there's a clear line here. There is a clear line here. I remember, last season going into this past season, when everybody was coming up with their quarterback rankings, Colin had to, he was reviewing a list and was like, yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is like a, top 10 quarterback, like top 8, top 9. He goes, I think that makes sense. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, that's crazy. He's really gone full circle with Baker. And yet we're saying like a Brock Purdy is like in the 10 to 16 range or something. And it's just like there's a clear line here. There's a clear line here. And until we can actually separate that line and see the differences, no, he's not appropriately respected. And when you're still questioning whether or not a quarterback should even be your quarterback, he is not being appropriately respected. So, we can say, oh, well, he's B+. We can say Josh Allen is A and Brock Purdy is B+. Like that's appropriate. And it's again, I think Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. That's a very fair statement to make. But let's not pretend like we talk about Brock Purdy as just a notch below Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, etc. And this is what makes people uncomfortable. Lamar, overall, is a better quarterback than say a Brock Purdy. Right? Lamar is truly elite, truly special, an insanely gifted athlete, can do things that you could only ever dream of doing. And is more resilient than pretty much any other quarterback in the history of the NFL. Yeah, Brock Purdy runs an offense at a higher level than Lamar Jackson. That's just a fact. And that makes people uncomfortable to say those types of statements. They go, well, how dare you? And it's like, because it's the truth. It's the truth. I think Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford runs an offense at a higher level than Josh Allen. So, you see, like these statements can work in lots of different directions. You understand? Like it can go this way and it can go that way. Doesn't have to be insulting. Doesn't have to hurt anyone's feelings. Doesn't have to be this big grandiose statement. Just kind of the reality of the situation. Right? Lamar Jackson is a better runner than Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson is a more resilient quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy. So, it's just like we have to be comfortable. We can't talk about all the different various skill sets and all the different traits that a quarterback can bring and be like not allowed to be like, well, this guy is clearly faster than this guy. This guy is clearly stronger than this guy. Well, this guy is a little bit slow. This guy is a better processor. This guy is a lot better post-snap. This guy is better pre-snap, but not as good as post-snap. He runs an offense at a higher level, more consistent level. We have to be like that. Those statements are very generic, honestly, and very basic and elementary. But we've reached a point where like they almost become things that we're like not allowed to discuss. It's like, what? Why? How does that make sense? Why can't we just say, yeah, Brock Purdy is better pre-snap and post-snap. He's an elite processor. Like that's one of the things that Caleb Williams has to work on right now is like actually running the offense as Ben Johnson wants him to actually do Ben Johnson's vision. Brock Purdy does that better than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams can do other things that Brock Purdy can't do. And it's like it's okay to have that conversation. It really is. It's these aren't value statements. I think I've defended Jalen Hurts again, more than anyone out there. And I've talked about how Jalen Hurts elevated in the Super Bowl. I mean, because the Jalen Hurts MP with Brock Purdy in terms of they both have great teams and they both said that they had stacked rosters and this, that, and the third. And it's just like both had great running backs, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, receivers, all that stuff, right? And so, it's just like I think Jalen Hurts genuinely deserves credit for elevating in the playoffs in a way that Brock Purdy didn't. And I've said this so many times and I've emphasized this so many times. Brock Purdy is not why they lost in the Super Bowl. He, snorts, was not the reason. But if he elevated more, if he could just be 5% better, they win. And if he got a Jalen Hurts performance, they win. And I think Jalen Hurts deserves that credit. If we can't give that to Jalen Hurts, then we can't give anything. And if you can and if Brock Purdy fans can't offer that to Jalen Hurts, well, then they're part of the same problem as why Brock Purdy doesn't get respect. Because I think Brock Purdy executes an offense at a higher level than Jalen Hurts. You understand what I'm saying? So, that's why these statements can be complementary to one another. They don't have to be conflicting. They don't have to be combative. They don't have to be like, well, those are fighting words right now. Like in the same sentence, I could be like, Jalen Hurts deserves credit for elevating in the playoffs in a way that Brock Purdy did not. That's a true and accurate statement. Also, Brock Purdy executes an offense at a consistent higher level than Jalen Hurts. And that's something that Jalen Hurts needs to work on and needs to be better. And now again, I can also now continue with that statement and defend Jalen Hurts and say, well, he hasn't had consistent coaching. He hasn't had Shanahan for years and away. And it's like that's also true. So, I'm excited to see what he does with Sean Mannion, etc., etc., etc. So, these things don't have to be these clear, definitive, defining value statements on a quarterback or team, for that matter. But you have to be comfortable saying some of these things. Yeah, Brock Purdy runs an offense better than Lamar. Lamar has the argument, a significant argument for being the overall better quarterback. Right? Jalen Hurts elevated in the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy didn't. Brock Purdy executes the offense better than number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams. Right? Like where we're allowed to kind of just say all these things. I say Josh Allen is best quarterback in the NFL. Matthew Stafford runs a better runs the offense as advertised better than Josh Allen. Right? It's okay. We can say those things. The moment we can say those things, then we can properly respect a Brock Purdy. And that's actually why my statement of with Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, it's so perfect. Because it works both ways for both quarterbacks. If both quarterbacks want the respect that I think that they are owed and deserved, you have to be able to say those statements. If you can't, then that is a contributing reason as to why those quarterbacks don't get respect. It is an absolute handshake moment. It is an absolute the ultimate Arnold Carl Weathers Predator handshake moment. It really is. It is that conversation is the ultimate this is the ultimate representation of that conversation. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Brock Purdy, the amount of respect that he gets versus the amount of respect that he should get? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.